Good morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com. What are we about? We are about truth in healthcare, truth in life, truth in what it is that we have in this life to make the biggest and the best that we can of it. And get my music down a little bit, my happy music. And so I am today with one of my favorite people who we have met and just hit it off so quickly and have had such great conversations and have had so much fun. And we could piss some people off, and that's okay. But but that's okay, because this is going to be a really fun conversation. So I have with me Miss Cindy. I always say Cindy is Powers Proser. I always get it backwards. So I have to make sure that I'm looking and make sure I have it correct. But today we're talking about up-leveling your freedom, up-leveling your joy, and what that looks like, and how it is that so often we can get stuck, how we can get unstuck, how it is that Cindy works with people to get unstuck, and then take that and let's expand that into our immediate world and then our bigger world, and how what we do and how we are can impact those close to us, as well as those, I think, across the globe. And I think it's important to really have that mindset, because we can make such a difference for people who are close and people who are far. And knowing that we have that responsibility, I think, is huge and important, and we should really take it very seriously. So, Cindy, thank you so much for being here. I'm just so glad that it's finally here. We've been planning this for months.
Nikki, thank you so much for inviting me. It's absolutely delightful to meet again. I have so much fun with you.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's gonna be a great time. So of course, as always, we start the show with gratitude. It's important. I think it's an important responsibility for all of us to be grateful for where we are, for what we have, even if we're going through some tough stuff. We've got a world that's going through some tough stuff. There are things to be grateful for, and the more that we can find to be grateful for, the more I was going to say the more better the more better everything is. Anyway, I'll stick with it. So Cindy, what are you grateful for today? Uh-oh, I lost your sound.
And my picture.
There
we are.
All right. Don't know what happened, but okay. Let's go again.
Okay, what am I grateful for? I have so much to be grateful for. I, too, have this practice of gratitude. So today, in this moment, I'm really grateful for my strong, healthy body. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are struggling with health, and that's a big subject today.
Yeah.
So I feel stronger than ever, being able to get up and just do all the things that I do. I live in a beautiful environment, and I get to go kayaking and riding my bike and walking and being in nature and surrounding myself with beauty in this beautiful body of mine, and dance and play and come to work and have conversations. So I'm very grateful for this body of mine.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And for those of you who don't know, Cindy is in New Zealand. It is 5 o'clock her time, a.m. And so I'm grateful that you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to hang out with us, because that's a lot to ask.
It's a full moon. It was greeting me. It was like, time to get up.
Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to say we started having a little bit of this conversation prior to the show, but I'm going to say I am just grateful that I turned 50. Yeah, so Tuesday, the Ides of March, was my 50th birthday. And I'm going to tell you that it was really perfect. It was a beautiful day. We got to sit in the sun. I had girlfriends take me out. I had people reach out and give me love. I have my friends in Dallas and all over who who reached out to give me some love. We're going to go to Florida next week. Oh, so excited just to get in the sun and celebrate. We've got a bunch of people coming in and out throughout the week to hang out and have some fun and celebrate with me. So, you know, it's an interesting number, and I know that it's always interesting the bigger the number gets. But you know, I feel amazing. Life is good. I have, you know, I get to do this, which is, you know, just reaching so many people. I mean, I think I've said this a number of times. We continue to grow. We're reaching about 140,000 people at this point. And just, you know, I get to talk to amazing people. I get to have great conversations. I get to meet amazing people. And we get to reach people who may not know about the amazing things that people have, that they have access to. You know, and something that I say a lot is, so many people believe, okay, I have this going on. It could be mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And the thought is, I need to go make an appointment with my doctor, which might be fine. Maybe that is what you need to do. But maybe we need to look outside of that. There's a lot of goodness out there that people have to offer that can help, that is outside of conventional medicine, and can, you know, help to open doors and open eyes and minds and lives, and, you know, which is, you know, one of the reasons why Cindy and I are going to have, and all of you, such a great conversation, because this is what it's about, is opening up, and then finding that freedom in ourselves and finding the ability to live big. That's really what I just keep thinking and keep wanting for myself and everybody around me and any of my clients is, let's just live big for as long as we're here, you know. So anyway, I need to just stop there. But
it's a great conversation, and Nikki, you have so much to be celebrating and grateful for. 50 is a big step.
I know.
So yay for you. Congratulations. I celebrate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So many good things to come. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about you, Cindy. I want you to tell everybody, you know, where you came from, what's your story, what brought you to where you are, what excites you, what motivates you, all of the fun things.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of my favorite subjects. Thanks for asking. I am a native Californian, 4 generations, always, you know, been in Northern California, lived and grew up in Northern California. And speaking of the 50th birthday, the day after my 50th birthday, my husband and I, and with our son, 15-year-old son at the time, made a bold move. And we moved from my community, my longtime community of friends and family, and my, at the time, 19-year-old daughter. We dropped her off in Bozeman, Montana at MSU, and then we got on a plane and moved our whole world over to the other side of the world, to New Zealand. And we moved to the most beautiful place on the edge of New Zealand, on the East Cape of the North Island. And that's really where my whole world, like the floor of my world just let go, and I just dropped down to probably the darkest place of my life. And I I had no idea what I was going to be experiencing when we said we'd moved to New Zealand. But I went with the flow, everything opened, the doors open, and I knew that I was meant to be there. And it was actually the perfect backdrop for me to do the inner work that I needed to do to get to know myself at a deeper level. So 50 was really the next stage of me to get to know me and to really do the deep work on myself so that I could help my clients and the world make this transition that's happening right now in the world today. So I really transitioned myself in that move. I had just gotten certified as a professional coactive life coach with the Coaches Training Institute. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just love personal growth, so I went through this huge program for several years and got certified. And I was studying metaphysics, and I had one of the best master metaphysics coaches in the world. helping me get through my certification, and I knew intuitively I needed to hold on to her for this move because I knew it would probably be a little rocky. Mm-hmm. Well, I held on to her for 3 years after the move. And I had the perfect platform and backdrop to go with it. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody, so my phone wasn't ringing. My calendar was empty. I was, in the most beautiful place of solitude, enchantment, and beauty. And I had this amazing master coach walking alongside me, holding space for me to do this incredible inner work, to get to know myself at a deeper level. And over those 3 years, everything changed for me. Everything changed for me. I saw the world through a completely different perspective and new eyes. And I truly believe that all happened. I knew that I was supposed to move. I didn't know why. And I now know that it was really to shift me so that I could hold space for the world today, because I truly believe we're in a shift, a true shift in the world, and we're transferring from an old world, a dying world, into a new world. And this is what's going on right now. And when we're transforming, when we're changing, it's chaotic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's so much chaos. And I love what you're saying, because this is a story that, a type of story that happens to a lot of people who you have to go through the hard stuff. You have to go through the junk. You have to, and you don't even really know it at the time until you look back, and you start, okay, now I get it, and getting through the hard stuff, well, it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah,
and so you go through your own, chaos and your own struggles, and you're like, what am I doing, and why am I here, and what's going on, and what is all of this for? And how beautiful is it when you can come out of it and you go, and it's like you're now the butterfly, right? and you have the lessons that you can now teach, which is well, it's just beautiful. Experience is beautiful, and it brings with it builds character, and just allows you to share that much more and give that much more because you've been there.
Yeah, from a place of compassion.
Right.
Because you know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been there. I know what it's like to be in that dark place of hopelessness and despair.
Yeah.
It was hard, and a lot happened. So, to be able to come from first self-compassion, I don't think you can really truly give compassion at that level until you have that compassion for yourself first, and really know what it's like to feel it and to do that work for yourself. And so now I can hold that space. I can give that love and that support and that compassion and that deep understanding to what people and the world are going through right now.
Yeah.
And really removing the judgment and the righteousness.
Right. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about, because, one of the things that you said was, you said a little while ago before the show, and then I think you just said it again, but, you are here at this time for a reason. And I want to dig into that, and I want to understand it. I want others to understand where you're coming from when you say that.
Yeah. So, since I was born, as long as I can remember, I have had this, and many of us do. We have this personality that we're kind of gifted with. It's just who we be. And I have always been one to come from my heart. It's just a natural thing for me, more than my head. I've always been very intuitive, and I've always had this relationship with the divine, God, the universe. You can call it whatever you want, but I've always been able to communicate and co-create. So, ask for support, ask for guidance, show me the signs. And fortunately, I have never lost that. So I still have this childlike quality of curiosity and creativity and co-creating, and I've always just loved that. And I lived, of course, you know, we all have the family that we're meant to have, in a family that was very different. And so I was always like wondering why and asking those questions and never really getting any answers. Just, you know, we don't talk about that, or changing the subject to something much more in my head, or this is the way we act, not that. And so now that I've gone through all these years and been in this world and engaging in this world from my heart, I can see that we have been living on a platform of what I refer to as domination. Power over, control, manipulation. It's very head-oriented and masculine energy, which is not a bad thing. It's worked quite well for us, and we've been there for thousands of years. You know, it created the Industrial Revolution. We're here where we are today because of that. However, I truly believe that the world is starting to shift and change, and the energies, I love energy, I've always connected to energy, and the energies are shifting to a much more fluid and softer, maybe more feminine energy, which does come more from the heart and not so much from the head. So what I say now is we need both. It's all a balance. We need the masculine and the feminine. But we're transitioning from more of a domination world, a power over, masculine-driven production, performing that, you know, going after something to get it, and over more to a more dominion or sovereign, taking our power back in here, instead of going after something out there to feel better in here.
Right.
I'm seeing we're learning more to navigate from within, and when we know how to feel better in here, everything out there matches that.
Right.
And so things start to create around us. And so it's transitioning from more doing to more being. And again, it's a do-be world. We all have, you know, we're in the human body, so we get to do and show up. But we do it from a different space. And I think that's the transition. And I'm here to help usher out this old dying world. And it's going out kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resistance because a lot of people, that's how they got their power. That's where their self-esteem came from. That's what they want. And especially in certain industries such as, you know, we don't need to get in them, but, you know, there's the politics, the medicine, like you said. There's these different ways that, you know, allopathic medicine is great.
Right.
And goodness, if you're in an accident or you need surgery, boy, we want to have it.
Yeah.
But for health care, what if we could just be happier and learn to release stress and eat fresh foods and drink good water? We're not taught that in this world of domination. In school, we're not taught that. And so I'm feeling like we're transitioning more to listening to our body.
Yeah.
And going within and being more intuitive and finding that guidance and co-creating with, like I say, the world around us and nature, and flowing more like the water, and you know, really absorbing the light from the sun and allowing that to transform us.
Right. You know, it's interesting. You know, as you're kind of painting this picture for everybody. You know, the way you know, I say this a lot in practice is that we have lost the ability to understand our bodies. We've lost the ability to understand what our bodies need. We've lost the ability to understand what a symptom is. You know, we blame it on old age or genetics or bad luck or whatever the case may be, when it truly is the way that we've lived our life for the most part. You know, if we have a pain, we go for the Advil. We don't try to understand what the pain is from. We don't try to understand the body. We have this disconnect with our environment and where our food comes from. You know, and all of these things, it's not always been that way. You know, back prior to the Industrial Revolution, people paid attention. They would eat herbs that would allow them to balance out their microbiome. They would eat food that would allow them to decrease inflammation. They would pay attention to a pain and say, okay, this is probably what I need to help with that pain, right? And those are the things that that you kind of paint that picture that we're sort of over this, I don't know, industrial revolution hump, and working on getting, just like you said, getting back to that place where we where we are more in tune with us, on the inside, with what's around us, with our environment, what gives us health, what gives us happiness, what gives us wholeness, instead of looking, like you just said this, to the outside world for that happiness and that wholeness. It has to come from within first. And so it's just this, I just kind of see it as kind of this, I don't know if it's a bell-shaped curve or whatever it is that we go through these cyclical times, but bringing in and helping people to see inside, and then what it is that they need to eat and to do and to move and to pray and to meditate and to be grateful, all of these things that are internal, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And how do we know what's right for us? We feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our body.
Mm-hmm.
So what feels expansive? What feels light? What energizes us? What inspires us? Creativity is so important. And what do we want to create more of? And why? How do we know? Because of how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
So our body is our guide. Our body is our monitor. For years we've been taught, how much we produce is our guide. How much money we have, how much power we have, how high up the ladder do we climb, and that's our guide. That's supposed to make us feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times that leaves us feeling flat,
right,
and thinking, is this all there is?
Right. It goes back to, you think that you can make a ton of money, and you do, and you're still not happy. Right?
Exactly. Because you get the beloved, and you think, I'm now in love, but I'm not fulfilled.
Right. It's true. And for me personally, I believe that it is a feeling, but there is an ultimate guide, and I think that we want to, without being, preachy, because that's not my intent at all, but understanding that there is an ultimate guide, that there is that higher power. I'm a Christian, and so I set my eyes to God and to Christ to guide. I do think that there is the tendency, when there is not that I hope I say this well enough, when there's not an ultimate guide to focus on, that your feelings then can lead us astray. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So knowing your feelings at that level, and that's where meditation and prayer, that's where communing with God allows us to feel into what's right for us, because it's a match.
Right.
It's the same feeling that we get when we're there and we're connected, because we are part of God.
Right. Right.
And so when we are there and vibrating at that frequency of unconditional love, which is what that feels like.
Yeah.
And so we know what that feels like, and we can attune our vibration, and prayer and meditation is one of the ways we do that. For me, it's also surrounding myself in nature, because that's like going to church for me. I am in alignment with God. And when I can be quiet and still and connect to that within me, then I know that I am at that level of attunement.
Yeah.
And then everything can just be, I cruise from that. That's how I get ready for my day.
I love
and I
that.
know you do too.
Yeah, I do. And it is a practice. I have lots of people who will, I tell them, I need you, especially people I work with who are really sick. I tell them, I need you, and you need you to meditate and to pray. You need that time. You need that stillness. You need to bring, you bring, for one, calm the sympathetic nervous system and bring it to a parasympathetic where everything is calm, but it's also a centering. And I say this a lot, and I'm going to say it again because maybe somebody hasn't heard it, but it was the most beautiful thing to me. There's a Charlie who does a show on this station. He's so great, but we were doing a show together, And the thing that he said to me was, prayer is you talking with God, and meditation is allowing God to talk to you.
Exactly.
Yes. And,
exactly.
And I love it so much, and it helps because I say my prayer, but then when I can take that time to sit and to be still and to be quiet, so often things come to me that I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yes. Vicki, it's exactly, it's opening to receive.
Yes.
So this is another great example of the domination and the dominion. In domination, we go after. It's about getting.
Yes.
In prayer and in dominion, it's about receiving and allowing things to come to us.
Yeah.
Yes, we still have to show up and do the work, but we do it from a place of grace.
Yes.
From gratitude and from receiving.
Yeah.
I love that you just shared that. That's such a big piece.
It is.
Yes.
It is. And I think that what you said too, it's that aligned action. When we can't just sit still and expect things to come to us, but we can expect and look for things to happen and bring things to happen. And I love, there's still this thought that, energy and frequency is woo-woo. And what I want everybody to understand is it's all backed by science. We are energetic beings, and we can put out frequencies that are very negative and detrimental and damaging, or we can raise our frequency and have that positivity, which is why we want to be grateful, and why we want to pray, why we want to, put out the goodness, because it is goodness that we're putting out there, and it raises the frequencies, and it can be measured. It's just the coolest thing. It just is so interesting. I'm not going to bring anything that I don't see is backed by science, and this is absolutely backed by science. And we have so much negativity that it's our responsibility to bring in the positivity, in my mind.
Yeah. And I'd love to address the whole idea about backing by science. I think science is great. We live in a linear world. Science is very linear. It's very fact-based. It's very in our head, IQ, linear. And our ego, our head, which is very important. I think the ego gets a bad rap. I love my ego because it's very much fact-based, and it's great for gathering information, linear-based information. And the ego wants us to believe that that's the only information. And science is God.
Exactly.
And I think it's a tool.
Yes, agreed.
I don't believe it's everything, and I know ego is getting a little restless right now, but you see, the thing is if it's not linear, then the ego does think it's airy-fairy, because you can't measure it, you can't touch it, you can't hold it, because the ego only sees out there. But when we go within and we connect to our heart with our intuitive inner knowing, then there's a whole lot of information there that can't be measured in science.
Right.
And does that mean that it's not as powerful? Does it mean that it's not as valid because we don't measure it yet? I mean, it was only recently that we were able to measure the energy and the frequency. So was it not real until we could measure it and science backed it up? So I think it's really, this is where we're transitioning. Yes, for a long time it needed to be backed by facts. That's the domination. It was all about, we need to see it out there.
Right.
But what I'm seeing now is that we're going back to plants and being able to use the plant medicine. And maybe we can now. Science, let's face it, pharmaceuticals have copied a lot of the plant chemistry. So we could put a patent on it. Now we're going back to the natural stuff, but women were burned at the stakes to be able to give herbs, depending on the country you're in.
Right.
As medicine. They didn't want you to do that. And now it's being accepted again.
Right.
And it is science, and it's great that science is catching up.
Yeah.
But, energy is energy, and And feelings are feelings, and what you feel in love. How do you measure love in science? I'm sure there's a way, because science is catching up, and I love that too.
Yeah.
But I knew this as a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I said I was born with this innate ability. I spoke to my grandfather after he passed.
Aww.
And I remember him coming into my bedroom and having this connection with him that was way more loving than ever when he was alive.
Wow.
And knowing that this love was always there.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he left his body, it didn't mean that he was gone.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have quite a few people that have passed now in my life, and I know how to continue that relationship.
Wow.
Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what being still and prayer and meditating and being in nature and receiving them at a different level is all about. Can we measure that? Can science prove that? I don't know, but do I know it's true?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And we also know that science changes. Science is wrong. You know, this is why science is a practice. So totally agree with you. My point, which I think you get, and probably everybody else also gets, was just that, you know, these things are not woo-woo. It's the real. It's
No.
real. Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
And I believe it's getting more and more real every day.
Yes.
That's
agreed.
the transition.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to see things and realize things that we have never realized and seen before. It's a new world that's evolving, and I believe in another 50 years we're going to be really different than where we are right now. Because even science is going so much faster.
Yeah,
everything is speeding up, right?
Is fast. Yeah.
It's very exciting times. I mean, we're on a very thin line, Nikki. It's very scary over here, and it's very exciting over here. And some days I wake up and I go, oh, and I want a little more of the fear, and then I go, come back to meditation, come back to trust, come back to me, and then I get more excited. Because there's so much opportunity and possibilities right now.
Oh, I love that.
And if we can use that to create more good in the world, to come into more unity consciousness and work together rather than the separation, the domination is created. But again, we'll come back to more sovereignty and more dominion and more love, more trust, more flow, and coming together and co-creating for a better world for everyone. You know, that's what I see in the future.
I love that. Perfect. Well, I'm going to take a quickie break. It seems like a good time to take a break, and then we'll continue on because this is so fun. But I have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Cellcore Biosciences, who is seriously amazing at what they do, innovative in the products that they have. I use them. I learn more and more and use them more and more regularly because I am realizing that they are addressing the foundations of health, right? You know, we talk about root cause medicine, root cause nutrition. We want to understand the root cause, address the root cause, so we have the ability then to allow the body to repair. Now, when we have supplements that are as innovative as Cellcore's products, what we're doing is just that. We're addressing mitochondrial dysfunction. We're addressing cellular dysfunction. We're addressing the things that can create that dysfunction, which could be mold toxicity, it can be environmental factors, it can be pathogens that are not supposed to be there. It can be, I'll tell you, it was interesting. I have a quick story because I think it's we live in this world where we have access to so much, but we're still putting toxins on our food. Glyphosate being one of those toxins. If you don't know glyphosate, it's Roundup. You've heard of it by now, and you know that it's a carcinogen, and we're still putting it in our food. On crops is what I mean. Now, so I have a client. We just got his labs back. He's been eating very typical standard American diet for a very long time. Had a really nasty diagnosis, so we're running labs and we're looking at mold and we're looking at environmental toxins, we're looking at heavy metals, and I'm going to tell you his glyphosate came back and it was extremely, extremely high. And he's like, I don't ever put Roundup in my yard. And it was such an eye-opening moment for him. I said, it's not from you putting Roundup in your yard, it's from the food that you've been eating. And he's like, what? I mean, it was this, holy smokes, this is incredible, because it was so high. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that it is glyphosate that's sort of at the forefront of this issue right now, because it is a huge issue, but it's not the only herbicide that is put on our food. It's not the only pesticide that's put on our food. We have so much toxicity in our food if we're not eating organic, and even organic is not as clean as we would want it to be. But all of that to say is CellCore is amazing because they help to allow the body to detoxify properly, to get rid of the pathogens and the microbes and the infections and the mold and all the things that I'm talking about, so the body can repair. And any of the symptoms, these extreme conditions that people are suffering from, hopefully we have the ability to ease the burden of the body, and we can start to reduce, maybe eliminate these symptoms and these conditions. It's hard to know, but we'll see what happens. But they're amazing at what they do. I'm super grateful that they're around, and I'm grateful that they are a sponsor for us. So anyway, shout out to CellCore, thank you. Okay, now, Cindy, I think I want to talk about, one of the things that you have talked a lot about in our conversations is the freedom and the sovereignty, and a lot about sovereignty. And so I want to get into you and your, I don't know how to ask this question, but when you're talking with your clients, or you're doing talks to groups, and you're talking about sovereignty, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you mean by that.
Yes. Yeah, great question. I do believe that that's one of the components that we're retrieving, taking back.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, sovereignty is, freedom. And it's learning how to, you've used this word, and I'm so happy to hear you say this several times today, personal responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Sovereignty is taking back our personal responsibility for ourselves and not looking outside of ourselves to be saved. Now, yes, we get to do that together as a community, as a world. We support each other. And I totally believe in that. But I do believe that until we can take personal responsibility for our choices and for the impact of our choices, such as the food we eat, and knowing the impact of those choices, it's not, it's so easy to sue and blame the companies out there that are putting the poison in our food. And I do want that to change.
Sure.
Believe me, I am an advocate for that change. And we need to choose what food we put in our body.
Yes.
It's a great example. That's sovereignty.
Yeah.
We are sovereign beings. We get to make those choices. And that creates our health, our wealth, our happiness. And so really to take our power back and stop blaming and being victims and, pointing the fingers out there that you're making us. The other thing that I really want to talk about, I got a new client, I started with a new client yesterday, and this is a classic. When I have a new client, I can see the classic underlying programming that we have been fed for generations.
Yeah.
And it's all about, programming. Where does it start? Well, it's all out there. We've been programmed by the things we watch, the things we listen to, the things we read, the education that we've been taught. And I'm not saying it's been all for bad. It's not all bad reason. But we have been told a certain way of thinking.
Yeah.
That this is the way it is. And so we've been also taught to compare ourselves to others, to worry about what other people think, that if we don't have a real job, we don't have self-worth. I mean, I hold the space for these people to start to share what they have, because we all carry some kind of form of shame. And so much of the shame is what we've been programmed to believe about ourselves, that we're not worthy because that out there isn't being measured, in the right way. For example, this new client has never had a profession. She's raised her family and she's done a beautiful job. She's made those conscious choices on feeding her children real food.
Mm-hmm.
And taking good care of themselves, and all these kids have grown up now to be adults, and they know how to take personal responsibility because of what she taught them.
Right.
But she doesn't have that self-esteem because she was never, climbed up the ladder or didn't have the income. Her husband supported them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I think we've been programmed to believe that our self-esteem has to come from, what we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
what we've achieved.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe, no, it's also who we be in here,
Mm-hmm.
and what we radiate out into the world. What is our legacy? It's not always a company we've created. It's also the family that we've created, the role modeling that we've done,
Mm-hmm.
and how we can show our children how to be good citizens in who we be. And that's taking responsibility for ourselves and our impact in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I truly believe there's more and more of a call for that, because the world is so fragile and things are, we are waking up to the impact of, say, glyphosate. Is that what you call that?
Glyphosate, yeah. Uh-huh.
Glyphosate.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I see a lot of that here in New Zealand too, and I just think, oh my gosh, they use it like water.
Yeah.
Wait a second, you guys, we're eating that.
Uh-huh.
So sovereignty is really like making the stand and saying no.
Mm-hmm.
I am a sovereign being. I know what I want and what I don't want, and I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to speak up. I'm going to have the courage to speak up and say no more.
Yeah. Because
that's important to me.
Right.
And really knowing your value is in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out there.
Yeah.
And truth and integrity and communication are high values for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to speak that from a place of compassion and understanding and love for the world. I'm not better than anybody. We're all in this together, but in the same time, somebody needs to point to the elephant in the middle of the room.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. And one of the things that kind of hit me as you were talking was, when we are looking outside of ourselves for that what's the word I'm looking for things that make us feel good, right? And I guess I'm not speaking this well, but my thought is we're looking outside of ourselves when we have maybe a family or kids who are over here, and so we're trying to find our what we're looking for, whatever that is out here, when our kids might be failing because we're not looking inside and we're not doing those things. And so having it's a shame for your client, and I hope that I know that you're showing her this, but she brought successful, healthy, happy human beings who are going to do so much, and that was her place, and I think that's amazing. And now she has the opportunity to do something else if she wants to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I hope that she realizes that and sees that, because it's good. Yeah. I think it's such a big deal. And sticking to that, not looking outside of yourself and knowing that you are who you are, and we're here. I have my own negative self-talk that I do sometimes, and I try to work really hard not to, but I am so aware that what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and that I'm here to make a difference, and that I will make a difference, even if it's to one person, if it's to 1 million people. I am here to make a difference. It's a God-given gift that everybody has to make a difference. And anyway, I
I love it. Preach it, girlfriend. I love it. She's on the pulpit now. Yeah. But it's true, Nikki. We all have a gift. We are born here for a reason.
Yeah.
Every one of us. And if you haven't discovered that already, then it's time to get still and receive it.
Yes.
Listen within. It's in here. It's something that you do better than anyone else. You're unique. We're all unique.
Yeah.
And just like the plants on this beautiful planet are all here for a reason, and the insects and the birds and the animals and all of us have a part in the system. And we're all here to make a difference.
Yeah. And
when we know that, and when we trust that, and we're able to receive that information, that inner knowing, that inner guidance, that inner wisdom, that is it is the quiet message inside of us. Sometimes it's loud. Some of us, we know that right away, and we have this beautiful personality or gift that we can give right off the bat. But with others of us, it's more subtle. For me, it's always been subtle. Because it was quiet. It was within me. It was a knowing that I was not taught how to listen to. We're not taught how to listen to our intuitive guidance within.
No.
School. Or even by our parents, because they weren't taught that. Society has not talked about, going within and listening to those small voices and those messages that are so powerful that you need to be still to listen to them. And once you can follow your passion, that's where your purpose is connected to. I mean, that's why when you invited me to have this conversation, and I had to get up at 4 in the morning, there was no question. Yes, because this is my passion, this is my purpose.
Yes.
And I do take good care of my body, so I know I can go to bed early and get up a little earlier to do this, because this passion is way more potent than sleep for me right now.
Right. And you can see
feeding me.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things that you have said, I don't believe you've said it live yet, is that all that's going on in the world, that you are put here for a reason, as we all are, but you're here to help with the shift.
Yes.
And I love that you say that. Will you dig into that a little bit more and just kind of talk about what you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember because we talked
I know.
So often.
I know.
So I don't know what we've shared, but briefly, I see us going from two different worlds. And one's not better than the other, okay? I'm not judging. There's no judgment here. It's a choice. So the big conversation about sovereignty is we have choice.
Right.
So sovereignty is choice. It's our choice. And
we need to hold on to that. I'm sorry, I just have to say that. We need to hold on to that, because I feel there are those who are trying to pull that away.
Yes. Domination.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the old paradigm.
Yeah.
Power over, control, manipulation.
Yes. Yeah. And there's so much of that, and it's just really, it's a really difficult time, just like you're already saying. But we can look in our own little world and in our big world and see that there is so much of this going on. And so what I was going to say is there's fearful, but then I go back to what you said and say to get out of the fear, know that you are sovereign, and be excited about it and do something about it.
Yeah, take it back.
Yes.
Take back your power.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. I'm trying to think. I was right with you, but
sorry.
That's okay. What's happening over here on this old game board of domination and ego? It's ego-driven, power over, control. It doesn't want to lose its power. My ego's like, no. If I don't have that power, then who am I? Because that's its power is control. And so it's kicking and screaming. There's a lot of that happening now, where they're trying to get even more power. Whomever we're talking about,
right?
Okay, nobody in specific, but if you are awake and aware. If you get up in the morning and just go through life, you know what we're talking about. There's certain people that just are driven by that dominating power, and that's all they know. And that, if they don't have that, then they feel like they're, who am I then?
Right.
What I'm here to teach, I'm a midwife to usher out this old dying world and bring in this new world of sovereignty. And it's love-based, it's choice-based, it's freedom-based, it's unity consciousness. Like I say, working together rather than separating. Because this domination wants to separate, it's competing to win.
Yeah.
Better than, less than. And I just don't think that there's room for that. We're killing the planet. We're killing each other from that. We cannot survive any longer. It's time to move into this new way of seeing and being in the world. And it's from a place of compassion and love and like I said, like we've been talking about, you know, co-creating with a source that's beyond what we can see and harness. It's in us and it's around us. And it's a miracle. I call it miracle and magic, but it's very real in my world, and it always has been. People say, how come things happen to you like they do? And I say, because I believe they can.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that creativity, I create from a place of miracle and magic. And it's from harnessing the power within myself rather than producing and working and making it and forcing it and competing to make it happen out there. And so my job, I believe, is to be that midwife, to usher out that world, usher in this world, and help people to find their power and their love for themselves, within themselves, so that they can give that love back out to the world from a beautiful, healthy place.
Yeah.
And so we have more love and unity consciousness in the world.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what's interesting too is when you say it, and it all is coming from within, right? We each have it. There is a sense of ease and peace. But then when